Already did 3 games that I enjoyed the most in 2023 videos, so here is something else, you bungled bastards. 3 games that disappointed me the most in 2023. This isn't bad or worst games list. Only one I'd say on this list is subpar, with others being mediocre to even above average at best. Point is that these 3 games have disappointed me the most because I have for some reason expected at least a bit more due to trailers, history or some other factors. My expectations are really low when it comes to games these days, and I try not to expect anything for any game, but that is difficult with established franchises because expectations are usually tied to latest games developed by a studio. For example, I have expected Starfield and Diablo 4 to be average or slightly above average games, so nothing surprised me when they ended up being exactly that. Anyone expecting greatness from Blizzard and Bethesda at this point is being silly and delusional. Bethesda hasn't done anything great since Morrowind, and Blizzard hasn't done anything great since StarCraft 2 campaign mechanics that made it probably the best RTS story-based campaign I have ever played. Then again, I rarely play RTS, so there might be far more superior campaigns out there, as that genre is for me uncharted territory. So let's get to the list. At number 3 we have Lords of the Fallen. Whenever talking about the original to people, I say that it has one of the best art styles I have ever seen. Equipment, enemies and world looked great, and overall game had lots of potential but screwed it up with subpar combat. So when the remake announcement came, I was very excited because I really liked a lot about the original despite the obvious shortcomings. As I said, I don't get excited almost at all anymore when it comes to games, but some quirky bastardly titles have so much potential that it excites me. And then the disappointment came. While some things were really good and I particularly enjoyed Soul River style interchangeable worlds with some more interesting mechanics, nothing could prepare me for the disappointment that combat was again. How the hell do you screw up combat twice in the same game series to a point that it makes the game a chore to play? In Souls games, combat is one of the crucial components that is gonna keep you interested to push through the difficulty, so if that is screwed up, there won't be much incentive to go on. Tracking attacks, sliding movements, positioning doesn't matter much, no backstabs, weak parry animation, weak critical hit animations. It's terrible. And on top of that, bad boss fights and terrible balancing, and I got a game I could stay with for around 10 hours before ditching it completely because I value my sanity more. At number 2 we have Final Fantasy XVI, a disappointing visual and audio spectacle. Average to decent game, but still a disappointment considering it is a bloody Final Fantasy, one of my most beloved franchises. Mistakes made in this game are beyond belief at times. While story is good with bad pacing, it borrows a lot from Game of Thrones and other famous franchises with a lot of cringy dialogue that just doesn't fit considering story's dark tone. There are also a couple really interesting characters like Sid, and then couple terrible ones like Jill. Bad and good mix in almost everything. Then combat, difficulty and character progression all fall flat. Final Fantasy XVI has turned Final Fantasy franchise into a brainless button masher while being too easy to push players to engage more with the combat system. Animations look great and everything is flashy as heck, a bit too much at times, but there is very little substance to combat. It could have been great, like Final Fantasy VII Remake had done it, but instead they went to dumb everything down route. Also, character leveling progression is abysmal. Because of all the negatives, game was boring for me in certain stretches to a point of extreme boredom at times, mainly due to superficial combat and lack of challenge. I was hoping for way more from a Final Fantasy game, but it seems Sirius is taking another direction that is not a good idea if done like this, as it doesn't offer nearly enough quality when compared to most of its predecessors, except in visual department. At number 1 we have Bleak Fate Forsaken. This is a hard one, because studio is located in neighboring country of Serbia and I really want success for Balkan developers, but can't not be disappointed in Bleak Fate Forsaken. Upon seeing trailers and many posts about this game, it truly got me interested to what can be done. Perception of Bleak Fate Forsaken from early announcements had something different about it, like it was time for a new era of Souls games. Unfortunately, we got a prototype of a game, cause I don't know what to call it aside from that. Mess of epic proportions with massive potential underneath that will never be reached, because it will be easier to scrap the game and do a sequel than to improve on all the things that need it. Bleak Fate has some really good ideas, but it is so janky and unpolished to a point of unplayable after some time. For example, there are no iframes, tracking attacks, and there is attack cancel, which makes combat far more strategic in its design than something like Lords of the Fallen, but execution is too janky to be enjoyable. Such a shame. World is quite interesting, but due to such unpolished state it lacks proper immersion and atmosphere due to bad sound effects, janky enemy movements and lack of details in linear areas. Open areas look better thankfully, but sometimes it is unclear where we can actually go, which can lead to unnecessary deaths. I really feel bad for making it the most disappointing game of 2023, but for me it is the truth. Devs were on to something but couldn't capitalize. Anyway, thanks for watching and do tell what games disappointed you the most in 2023.